How to structure an introduction. What shape was the introduction? Everybody, what shape? Upside down triangle. Where does the point of your essay go in that upside down triangle?
A thesis statement.
It's a thesis statement, and where is it located?
At
the bottom. So which sentence is your thesis statement in an intro?
the last one.
Always. On an essay that's of a research nature. Okay? Now, let's go over the body paragraphs, okay? Before we do, let's review the three types of sentences that you have in any body paragraph. What's the first sentence?
Statement.
Got to hear from everybody. Statement. Then?
Example.
Okay, everyone means everyone. Try this again. What's the first sentence?
Statement.
Then we have examples. And?
Explanation.
How many sentences of statement do we have?
One.
One. How many sentences of example?
Two.
And how many examples? And how many sentences of explanation? Three. Because the explanation is always the longest part of a paragraph. So good writing is as simple as 1, 2, 3. Try this again. 1, 2, 3.
C.
Okay. And if you want higher than a C, and Brandon, let's focus. If you want higher than a C, you got to show a little bit of
DNA.
transitions and attribution. Remember, that's why it says it's rated R on YouTube. Okay. Transitions and attribution. All right. Steph, can you read for us here body paragraphs?
The body paragraphs are shaped like rectangles because everything in these paragraphs are written about in the same depth and width, clearly supporting and providing your thesis.
All right, so if we look at the body paragraphs up here, we see statement, example, explanation, with a reminder. I need all attention up here, please. Okay? With a reminder that the statement needs to support the thesis. So if you're going to talk about three things in your thesis statement, you're going to talk about rebellion, civil disobedience, and carpe diem. Is that the order your body paragraphs have to go? Yes or no?
No.
Absolutely it does. If I say I'm going to talk about A, B, and C, logically I'm going to tell you about what? A, B, and C. So if I say that it has to be in that order. Absolutely. It doesn't? Why wouldn't a thesis statement be in the same order as what your body paragraphs are? It completely matters. No, that's a good question. Okay, what were the three I said? Well, this is good. Now focus here. And this is why students sometimes don't do as well on an essay, is that they have a thesis statement that says, I'm going to talk about A, B, and C. Then they talk about B, then they talk about A, then they talk about C, and the reader's going, wait a minute, this is out of order. If you're telling me you're going to tell me about A, B, and C, then your paragraphs have to be in that order. You could have 2 or 3 paragraphs in A, 1 or 2 in B, 3 or 4 on C. It's up to you to have how many body paragraphs you want. But does it have to follow the order of the criteria?
Yes.
Absolutely it
I
does.
thought last
Okay.
time they told us it didn't have to follow an order.
Okay. In a paragraph itself, statement, example, explanation, can it be in any order?
Yeah.
Yes, that can. But a thesis statement controls an essay. What does a statement control? What's a statement control?
Your example.
The examples and the explanation in the body paragraph. So it doesn't matter where it goes because it's just one paragraph. And Brandon, this is maybe what you were thinking of, is that a thesis statement controls the whole essay. So it has to be in order that you say you're going to discuss it. All right, so what was the first example I gave from our criteria? What was it? Rebellion? Was that one of the criteria I named? I need to hear from you guys. Was it rebellion? Yes, followed by? No. Civil disobedience? Just a little bit louder. Okay. It was rebellion followed by civil disobedience, and then what? Carpe diem. Okay. Was it individualism?
Carpe diem.
Did I say
Rebellion.
rebellion, civil disobedience, and carpe diem? All right. So Nick, I need you to focus, man. We're gonna have to move your seat. Okay. All right. Now that's up on YouTube. Everyone knows. Okay. All right. Now think about this, guys. If you say you're going to talk about, rebellion, civil disobedience, and carpe diem, your body paragraphs have to be in that order. Does that make sense? Okay, look up here. Oh yeah, the statement needs to support the thesis. Okay, next reminder. Hey, so do the examples. and make them at least 2 sentences each. Then explain in depth how the examples support the thesis, consider counterpoints, and then disprove them. Now, I like to call a counterpoint the opposite of a thesis statement. What means opposite as a prefix?
Anti.
Anti. All right, let's write this down. Counterpoints are actually called, it looks like antithesis, but does anyone know how that's pronounced?
Antithesis.
Antithesis. Okay? You have to have an antithesis which you will disprove. Anytime you make an argument in an essay, please make sure that you have an antithesis. Here's what other people think. Let me explain why this is wrong. For instance, is it okay if you think transcendentalism is a ridiculous philosophy? Sure, okay, and you got to explain why, but then you have to consider people who would think it's a pretty cool philosophy, and then explain that they're wrong. Okay? All right. Let's move on to the conclusion, and then we'll go ahead and go over our outline. Why is the embedding not working? I have no idea, so I'll just clear everything. Okay, and let's have Nick, if you could please, read the conclusion here for us. Now notice that the conclusion is a different shape. Go ahead.
Reshape thesis. Evaluation of what thesis proves, bringing a reader to a higher level of understanding and epiphany regarding the topic and the conclusion reached by moving from a specific focuses of
Okay,
topic to
can you start from the beginning and try it without laughing? Okay?
Evaluation of what thesis proved, bringing the reader to a higher level of understanding regarding the topic and the conclusion you reach by moving from a specific focus of a
Okay,
topic to universal.
we're actually right here, where I've highlighted.
Wait, oh.
Let's see. Okay, try it a third time, please. Go ahead.
The conclusion paragraph reverses the structure of the introduction by beginning with a narrow focus through restating what the thesis proved. Then as you continue to write, bring the reader to a higher level of understanding regarding the topic and the conclusion you reach. Finally, broaden your focus until you close the essay with a strong final statement that has universal appeal.
Okay, of all the paragraphs that students write, this is the one paragraph they struggle with the most. Hey, Jasmine, need your attention over here, please. Okay. All right. What do people typically do in a conclusion?
Summarize.
Summarize. Where's summary on Bloom's taxonomy?
The bottom.
It's next to the bottom. It's comprehension. It's just above knowledge. It's nothing new. A conclusion is where you give us your decision. You've reached a decision, and then you evaluate why you've reached this decision. By doing that, it creates what's called an epiphany. All right? And what is an epiphany? Does anyone know? What's an epiphany?
A sudden realization.
It's a sudden realization, the light bulb effect, okay? Draw a little light bulb there. Not one of those new energy efficient light bulbs, please. Okay, a little light bulb. The light goes on. Aha! Now I get it. So it's opposite of the structure of an intro because you're starting with a restatement. Restatement doesn't mean you say the exact same words. You use the same criteria, but you say it more strongly because now you've proven your case to the reader. Okay, but you start with a narrow focus, and then as you write, you're becoming more wide. When we get to the bottom, why is it wide? What type of appeal are we trying to make? It's just like an introduction. What are we trying to do? What is it called where everyone can relate to it? Universal, thank you. A universal connection. So here, purely the point of our paper, then you evaluate what the thesis proved, bringing the reader to a higher level of understanding and epiphany regarding the topic, and the conclusion you reach by moving from a specific focus of topic to a universal connection. And then you should need to end with a strong final statement with an analogy, a simile, or a metaphor. Conclusions are the toughest paragraphs for us to write, and I'm right in there with you. But it's the most important paragraph. Why?
It ends your.
Right, it's like, if you think of an essay like a date, this is the goodnight kiss. It better be good, or they're going to forget what you're talking about, okay? So here, put a star by this, because it's really important when you write this essay You have to have a strong final statement. Analogies, simile, metaphors, what do they all do? What do they make?
Comparison.
They make a comparison. If I write it, do you write it? Yes, you do. So it makes a comparison. Now, how long is your restatement of thesis? How many sentences? Just one. So that's always one sentence. Can it be more? No, never. Your evaluation, if your statement is one thesis, I mean your thesis statement is one sentence, and you're writing on transcendentalism, what's the first thing you're going to talk about as you're moving from the point of your essay towards that universal connection? Are you going to talk about universal or transcendentalism first? Transcendentalism. Okay? So here, and we'll take some notes here, you're going to have 5 or 6 sentences on transcendentalism. And that includes the authors as well as Dead Poets Society if you choose to write about Dead Poets Society as part of your topic. Okay? So put in here, include what you proved regarding the authors for Dead Poets Society.
Say include or something?
Include. And you want to include it. So your restatement, 5 or 6 sentences regarding what you proved in your body paragraphs on transcendentalism. And you show us that context in which you made your point. Then you're going to write 4 or 5 sentences making a universal connection between the two. So universal connection.
What does it
Okay.
say under transcendentalism?
It says include the authors or Dead Poets Society. Because not all of you are writing on Dead Poets Society, but everyone has to write on Emerson, Thoreau, and Whitman. Capiche? Capisco, tutto bene. All right, now when you end with an analogy, simile, or metaphor, try and keep it to 1 or 2 sentences. Don't go more than that. So you will have 1 or 2 sentences that make a comparison right there. So what's the minimum length of your conclusion if you follow this brief little outline? I think you can do the math here.
10.
Okay, 5 plus 1 is 6, plus 4 is 10, plus 1 is 11. How many sentences did we say that your intro would be at a minimum? 11. And if you look at your body paragraphs, if you have 1 sentence of statement, 2 examples of 2 sentences each, that's 4 at a minimum. And then you would have 6 sentences of explanation, because for every 2 sentences of example, you're going to have 3 sentences of 4 more of explanation. The minimum length of every single paragraph is what?
11 sentences.
11. Okay? So make sure you follow all the notes we've taken on here. Here's a little tip for you. In between every statement, example and explanation, good writers use transition words or phrases, or even a transition sentence. Also use attribution every time an example is cited to indicate who's speaking. Underline this. How it's said and to whom. So we want who said it, how it's said, and to whom. Because that creates a picture in the mind of the reader. Capiche?
Fiscal.
All right, what questions do you have before we go over how to do our outline tonight? Now, should you consult this when you're doing your homework? Absolutely. Yeah.
Are we going to do the example pieces for topic 2 when we're moving back this
Are we going to do the exam? Oh, yeah, no, we will. We're going to do that when we get to that point in our outline.
I thought you wanted us to make it easy.
Right, give it a shot. You had it drafted last night, and then I'll take volunteers, and then when we get to our outline, we'll plug in one of those samples. Okay? Any other questions? Last chance. Any other questions? All right.